Hey guys, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. I'm just back from seeing The Joker, and let me tell you something, it is a powerhouse of a movie. There has been many iterations of The Joker, from the likes of Mark Hamill to Heath Ledger to Jared Leto, but I think Joaquin Phoenix is now the definitive Joker. He is fantastic. Ledger's performance was amazing, and it kept the enigma of the Joker. This one is a more compelling variation, as it's a character study and breakdown of how someone could become the Joker. It's not stating that this is the definitive Joker, but if it was decided in the morning it was, I could totally understand why. The movie itself is set in Gotham in 1981, and it's an absolute shithole of a city. Crime is rampant, rubbish is left piling up. There is a massive divide between rich and poor. And through all this, we have a comedian by the name of Arthur Fleck who is struggling not only to maintain a job and look after his mother while dealing with mental illness, but also dealing with the marginalization of society and how cruel the city is. So while the movie does kind of make us have pathos towards Arthur, when he slowly transforms into the Joker, it kind of pulls that back and asks us, is society the reason that he's turning into this, or was he always like this? And it lends certain aspects to, like, well, can you blame an illness, or is a person's circumstances an excuse to why they would turn into such an individual? A lot of people are complaining about this movie. There's a lot of controversy about this flick. People are worried that it's going to kind of inspire copycat kind of killers, or copycat anarchists. But I think if anyone's going to go out and, like, shoot up a school or shoot up a hospital or hurt someone, it's it's not going to be a movie that does it. It's going to be something else. I really don't like the concept of scapegoating. Scapegoating has been something that's been part of our society for a long time, since ever the invention of any kind of entertainment medium, be it Frederick Wordham giving out about comic books, or rap music, or the likes of video games. People will always find an excuse to go, oh well, this is why he did it. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's not any one thing that could make someone do this. If someone's going to do something horrible or horrific or evil, anything can be a catalyst for it. And this movie kind of shows that. This movie says that you can you can be pushed over the edge, but it's not necessarily one thing to blame, or it's not going to be one instance. It can be a number of things, and that's explored as well, in that Arthur Fleck, he not only has to deal with mental illness, he has to deal with, like, things like his medication is taken, he's ignored by society. And while again it does give us pathos, it doesn't excuse his actions. Arthur is essentially a rubber band who, throughout the movie, is being stretched, and we as the audience know he's going to snap. We just don't know when, and when he does, we are shocked and reviled. It doesn't glorify the violence, it doesn't justify the violence. It shows us that if we marginalize people long enough, this is what can happen, and that's an interesting exploration of the character. Phoenix's performance is fantastic, and the aesthetic of Gotham City is interesting. As I said, Gotham City is grimy, it's dirty, and I think that aesthetic is lent to by the fact that it's also a kind of love letter to Scorsese, Martin Scorsese, who produced the movie. There are nods, major nods to Scorsese movies, such as the likes of Taxi Driver. You can see elements of Travis Bickle in Arthur Fleck. You can see elements of Robert De Niro's character from the kind of comedy in Arthur Fleck. Robert De Niro actually turns up as a talk show host. There are elements that are kind of beat for beat with the likes of kind of comedy and the likes of Taxi Driver, with the character being delusional about his situation. Again, the movie does give us pathos for Arthur, but as he slowly transforms into the Joker, his actions become more heinous and more vile. And because he's marginalized, there is a sense and a loss of identity. He's like, well, if I'm not respected as this and I'm not respected as this, well, if you guys think I'm a freak, I'm going to embrace being a freak. And that's the thing. That's the danger. That's like, if you turn your back on people for too long, or if you don't like look after people, then society could lend itself to becoming something like this, to leading people to becoming like this. It doesn't make excuses for it, but it does show kind of like how, as a modern society, be it with healthcare, be it with people's money and finances and mortgages and insurances, how people can be pushed to their limits and how dangerous that can be. Again, it's an interesting character study. It's an amazing movie. If you're expecting an action movie, I genuinely think that maybe you should give this one a miss. It is by no means a comic book movie. If you're expecting something like Avengers or the likes of, say, Iron Man, you're not going to get that. If I had to sum it up, a friend of mine said that The Dark Knight is essentially Heat that has Batman turn up in it. Well, this is more like a Scorsese movie with a villain in it. Not even a super villain, just a villain. So by and large, it's a character study. I'm going to keep on repeating that. It's a character study of how someone could potentially become the Joker, and I can see Joaquin Phoenix probably getting an Oscar, or at least getting nominated for an Oscar at this. And I can also see Warner Brothers attempting to try and integrate this into the DCU. I can see the man having truckloads of money parked up to his house to try and get him to come back. I can't see him doing it. This is definitely something that I don't think could be easily commercialized or transitioned into a more kind of comic book, dare I say, comic book aesthetic. This is very real world, it's very dirty, it's very gritty, and it's an interesting and compelling movie. I highly recommend you go see it. This is not one for the kids, do not take your kids. And yeah, it's amazing. There's so many little things in this movie I think that were fantastic. The fact Arthur still has like pieces of his white makeup powder on his face, and as he slowly descends into madness, that just still builds up, and in the finish he just decides to cake his face in that. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing, and I think this is going to be one of the definitive Joker performances out there. So if you get a chance over the weekend, go check this movie out. My name is The Trash Picture Show, and yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.